welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be my monthly installment of Shop My Stash. So that is a series I do here on my channel where I pick out products to use for the month, gather my thoughts, get reacquainted with them, see if I still want to keep them in my collection, report back to you, and then afterwards we pick out new products behind me together. So if that sounds good to you, if you like Shop My Stash videos, then make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet, but let's just get started talking about all these products. All right, so I am wearing pretty much most of these products on my face. Everything that I'm wearing is always listed in the description box below, but let's just get started going in order of application. So starting off with primer, I have this Winky Lux Whipped Cream Primer, and this was new in my collection. I had never used it. Here's what it looks like. It's kind of just a pore filling primer. It was okay. I'm not going to declutter it. I like it. I'm not a big fan of the texture. It's very similar to the Tarte smoothing primer. However, that one is just more putty-like. And this one, they were trying to do something with like this whipped texture, and it kind of falls flat for me only because sometimes it like balls up in there. It doesn't pill on the skin, but I'm just not a huge fan of the texture. Had this just been normal where it was like a cream and you kind of scooped it out, it would have been better. But I do like it. It does the job and I will eventually use it up. And then a couple Shop My Stashes ago, I pulled in all of my mini primers. I thought that I could finish like 6 minis in a month. I was way off. So I said that I would just talk about them as I finished them. And I finished 2. So I finished the Urban Decay All Nighter Face Primer. I really liked this one. It's kind of just like an average primer. Like it doesn't make your makeup last longer. It's like an in-between of a gripping primer, a hydrating primer. I think it's just a good base. I do have a full size of this, so luckily I don't hate this, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite or that I really notice it does a difference. It was just something I applied to try and use up. And then this I finished today, actually. I got this as a sample when I ordered the Valentino foundation and concealer. I'll link those videos up above if you want to see my review on that. But this is the Valentino V Lighter, and it's like a illuminating primer. This was really nice. I actually have another full size. Since I finished this one today, I still have that one to open and get into. This is 5 ml, and it actually lasted quite a long time for being a little sample, but I really like this. Let me see if I can squeeze a teeny tiny bit out of here to just show you. But this made me remember why I like illuminating primers and why I had so many in my collection. Because for a while, I really was like, why do I have so many of these illuminating primers when really I just care about enlarged pores? But this is so subtle. This is a heavy swatch, but it's very subtle on the skin. It's what I imagine the Auric Glow Lust to be like. And once I get through some of my other illuminating primers, I really just want to get my primer drawer under control. I think this will be my illuminating primer of choice. So I really enjoyed this. It does have a scent, so if you're sensitive to scents, you won't like this, but it's not too obscene for me. It's very light. I really like this. I know a lot of people like this, and I can see why. It's just like the most subtle illuminating primer. It doesn't feel like you have highlight on your skin. Let's now get to foundation. I usually pull 3 foundations for Shop My Stash. One that's like a known love, one that I need to get reacquainted with, and then one discontinued foundation to just try and get some use out of. So the one that I knew and loved and just wanted to get more use was the Estee Lauder Double Wear, and this is the Sheer Long Wear Makeup. I have 2 shades of this actually. This one's 3N1, and then I believe I have 2N1, and I kind of just mix and match, so I have my shade all year round. Nothing to say about this. This is still a love. I really do like this foundation. I know some people don't. I don't think you'd like it if you have mature skin. That's what I've heard. And if you have really dry skin, this kind of dries down to a powdery finish, and I think that's what is maybe polarizing about this foundation is that powdery finish. It doesn't really sink into your skin as much. It kind of does look like a powder foundation, and you really need to set it with a setting spray, but I think it wears really well. I think it looks nice on the skin if you don't have too many skin concerns. I plan on using both bottles up. I quite rely on this when I'm just going out and I want my makeup to last. So this will definitely be staying. The one I wanted to get acquainted with was the number 7 Stay Perfect foundation. This was good. This is actually the one that I'm wearing today. I like this a lot. I kind of, went 2 weeks without wearing it. And then I told myself, like, you really need to get your thoughts on this foundation. I was kind of avoiding it, and I don't know why. So this says it's for all skin types, and it's a medium coverage, all day wear with sunscreen. I really want to try other number 7 foundations now. It was just really good. I remember this was really hyped up on YouTube for a while, which is why I purchased it, and I can see why. I don't know if they still make this. I need to maybe look and see. I'll add like a little note to the screen here if they still make it, because I actually think that this is the exact dupe for the Chanel Le Beige foundation. So if you've been wanting to try this Healthy Glow foundation, which I love, I've raved about this foundation. It's in my project pan, which is why you can see just the line marks. I'll link that playlist up above. But I really love this foundation, and I think that this is an exact dupe, just way less expensive, much more affordable. So if you're thinking about getting this one, if you want to see if you even like the Chanel, I would give this one a shot first and see if you like it. And then the last foundation that I have was my discontinued one, and this was old. This is the Tarte, Empowered Hybrid Gel Foundation in Light Neutral. Now, this happens a lot with my discontinued foundations. This is why I pull them in, just to really give them a chance. But this smells fine. However, it completely broke me out, and it's for sure just expired. It needs to go, which is unfortunate because, like, look how much product I wasted. Other foundations just kind of got used. This one got left in my drawer and it went to waste. So I'm a little sad about that, but trying to fix my ways and just get better with time. Unfortunately, this is gonna have to go in the trash. It broke me out pretty bad for a while, and I suspected it was this. I tried it again, and it was for sure this. So at the time I had this, when I first purchased it, I know that I really liked it. It wasn't that I didn't. I just had other foundations I was wearing more. So this is gonna go in the trash. Now, I've been kind of just lulling on this for the past couple of days on what I want to do with foundation for the next Shop My Stash. And I think I'm actually going to forego pulling a foundation. I might pull just one instead of 3, one that maybe I want to get reacquainted with, like the number 7, to just see if it needs to stay or go, if it's expired or not, because I have the slight inkling that it is expired. So I might pull one, but I have all my Maybelline foundations that I have been trying to do a video on, ranking them for the last 6 months, and I really want to focus on that video. It's just been slow and steady. So I think this month I'm going to pull one foundation, just so you know, and that'll be it. So I can really just focus on my Maybelline. But now, that was just a little side tangent. Let's move on to concealer. I have the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Concealer in 2.7 Coconut Flakes. I love this concealer. It is top 2 concealer for me. This one and the Givenchy. The only thing about this one that I think puts this one at number 2 and the Givenchy at number 1 is that this one is so full coverage. I mean, it's advertised at full coverage, so I can't wear this every day. However, when I wear this, it looks beautiful. It makes my under eyes the smoothest out of any concealer that I have. My under eyes just look like I got filler and they're perfect. So this is what it looks like. And I do really like it. I can't wear it every day. Sometimes it's just a little bit too thick for the foundation that I'm using in conjunction with it. However, I highly recommend this, and I'm glad I was able to pull it in and give it a month of love. Then for powder, this was never tried, and it is the L'Oreal Age Perfect Creamy Powder Foundation. Personally, I have the shade 300 Ivory. This is a nice powder. I didn't really use this to set very often. I actually use this more as a powder foundation on a couple of days, and it's nice. I don't love it, but I don't hate it enough to declutter it. I could see this being on the chopping block for being decluttered, maybe at the end of the year when I do my end of year declutter, if I haven't really reached for it or thought about this. But it's a nice powder. My only thing with it is it's a little thick, and I just prefer more of a setting powder. So being that it's just more thick and heavy coverage, it doesn't work for my aesthetic. But for a powder foundation, it's very nice. I just don't reach for powder foundations as much as I want to. I wish this had a little bit less coverage so I could use it more as an all-over setting powder, less of a just plain powder foundation. Next up is bronzer, blush, and highlight. I usually pull one cream, one powder. So let's do powder first, starting with bronzer. I have the Fenty Beauty bronzer in Inda Sun. It's the lightest shade. And when I pulled this in, I even showed it. I still had the FB embossed on it. It was very lightly used, and I'm really happy with my progress. I use this a lot. I'm wearing it today. The only thing about this, I know this is like a holy grail for some people. I've seen like a lot of creators hit pan on this, but this gets hard pan so easily. Within the month, I think I had to pull tape and get the hard pan off at least once a week. And I'm not putting it, I don't think that my base is usually that glowy. I like a more semi-matte finish, as you can see. So I don't think it was my brush picking up my oils. This just gets hard pan, and I don't know why. Other than that, it's a really nice bronzer. I'll continue to use it. Really happy with my wear, but it does get hard pan. I don't think I'd repurchase it if I was to ever go through it. For blush, this was never tried, and I had it for months and months. So this is the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Blush. This is fairly new. I think I had my mom pick it up when she went to the States, and then it just sat in my drawers. I have the shade 5 Fearless Coral. I'm gonna declutter this, even though I only used it a few times. It is just the most pigmented blush, and for the shade, it just doesn't work. Like, this is what it looks like on your cheeks. So I used this a couple times. I realized it wasn't for me, and I'm just gonna find a better home for it since it really has no wear. I didn't want to continue to wear something I knew I wasn't going to like and then not really be able to pass it on. So this is unfortunately gonna go for my collection. I don't like it. I think it's just way too pigmented, too powdery. It doesn't blend well. So unfortunately, that is gonna go. And for highlight, this must be one of the oldest highlights in my collection. This is the Laura Geller Baked Highlighting Duo in French Vanilla and Portofino. I've actually used this a lot. I've traveled with this highlight. I just can't believe that there's no significant wear. Like, maybe you can see it, but the dome is still pretty significant. If you look really closely, you can kind of see where I've worn it away. I wish there was more progress, but with baked products, it's hard to just use them up. I love this highlight though. I'll continue to use it until it's no longer usable. It is the highlight that I'm wearing today. It's just a really subtle highlight. I think that it kind of got lost in the wayside in my collection when highlighter just became more popular. You really wanted that like shining bright highlight. So I wasn't reaching for this, but now that highlight is kind of being dimmed down, not everyone's wearing highlight, I am just kind of gravitating more towards a more subtle highlight, and this fits the bill perfectly. It's just a good one. I hope that they still sell this, either the French Vanilla or Portofino. The combination of the two is what makes it really special, because French Vanilla is a lot lighter and then Portofino is a lot brighter, and just together it creates just the most perfect subtle highlight. I like this a lot. I will continue to use it. I'm considering whether I want to pull it into a project pan and try to pan it, but I don't know. It might take me like 10 years to even hit pan on this. So we'll see. Moving on to the cream complexion, here's what I have. Let's start with bronzer again. This is the M Cosmetics Cream Bronzer in Terra. This was also unopened in my collection, and look how much I used. I am really, really happy with the usage on this. You know, there's still a ton of product in here, obviously. Like, this is still gonna take a long time to get through, but this was really creamy, easy to blend out. I really liked it in conjunction with the Fenty Beauty because this was a little bit darker and the Fenty was so light on my skin that the combination of the two just gave like a really nice bronze effect. And yeah, I think you can tell just from how much I used, this is it all the way down, how much I really enjoy this. I also have the blushes that I haven't opened, and I'm contemplating whether I want to bring that into this next month for Shop My Stash because of how much I liked this. It's just really user-friendly, and I have nothing bad to say about it. For blush, I have one of the nude sticks. This is the only one I've kept. I used to have like 4 or 5 of them, but this is my favorite shade, Sunkissed. It just is the perfect summer shade. I had been wanting to bring this in for Shop My Stash multiple times, and every time something kind of came over and I pulled something else, I finally decided before summer was over, I needed to pull this because it's the perfect just, Sunkissed is the perfect name. It's the perfect just sunburned blush that I have in my collection. I really like it. Let me also just swatch this bronzer while I'm at it so you can just see the color here. It's definitely more of like a bronzer contour. But this blush, I love it. I definitely want to eventually try and finish it up. It's an older blush in my collection. You can see how much I have usage of. Not as much as the bronzer, but you need less of this than you do the bronzer, so that's why it's taking a little bit longer. But really loved both of these products just together. And for cream highlight, I have the Stila Cream Highlight Stick in Kitten. This was an interesting product. I had a hard time with this because just see the little cap here that protects the product. Like it got all in the cap, the cream part. It kind of just bothered me, but this is okay. I am not like a cream highlight person. I don't even have that many cream highlights in my collection. You can see like for some reason it's very creamy, but it's breaking apart for some reason. And I have just a hard time figuring out how to apply this. It's too much with just your finger. You can't just swipe it on your cheek. The best way I found was to just apply it directly onto my sponge, but you have to be really careful. Like it's just cracking, and it's not the best product container. I wish it was like more in a pot. Maybe I should just decant it like into a pot or something, because it's messy, and that's my biggest issue with cream highlight, which is why I don't really reach for them. I like the container other than it just not being useful. Like the container's pretty, not a useful one. The product is nice. I have nothing bad to say about the product. It looked pretty on the skin, little tiny bit glittery. So if you really don't like a glitter highlight, you won't like this. Go for this that has like more of that sheen. So, you know, Kitten is just a staple color, I think, in the beauty community with Stila, and it's a cult classic. So I'm happy to have this. This is also one that I could see on the chopping block on if I declutter it or not, if I'm just not thinking about it and I'm kind of just over it by that point. That's all complexion though. We just have eyes and lips left, and then we'll be able to pick out new products. So let's now go over all the eye products that I pulled. Before going over the palettes, I want to talk about the 2 singles that I pulled. So I pulled my mini Laura Mercier Caviar Stick in Vanilla Kiss, and it's just a matte kind of stick here, good for a base. I really didn't use this that often. And then I had my MAC single in Woodwinked. This is really pretty. I actually came to really appreciate this shade. It wasn't one that I loved when I first got it. I got it because it was really hyped up and everyone loved it, and I didn't understand it. but this really is, it's a beautiful shade on. I like it a lot. I'm no longer going to be pulling singles into my Shop My Stash because now I'm doing a completely different series. I think that video went up earlier this month. I'll link it up above on just focusing on my singles and getting use out of those. So I won't be pulling them anymore, but these were both nice. I didn't use this one as much as I wanted. This wood-winked one, though, was easy to throw on days I really didn't want to fuss with my eyeshadow, just wanted to put something on. I really liked it. And for palettes, I have 3 here. So let's talk about this one first, since it was on top. This is the one that I'm wearing today. It is the Odens Seatalk palette, which was a collaboration with Lauren Mae Beauty. I got some good use out of this one, I think. Right now, I'm wearing this one kind of in the crease, this all over the lid, and then iridescent shell to kind of match my top in the inner corner. Love this shade, definitely my favorite shade in the palette, but these two are just the most beautiful, simple look. I wore this look quite a bit. I think you can start to see a dip in this pan, a little bit in this one. This one, I think I wore on the inner corner. I basically would always wear these two and then kind of just use this in the inner corner, this one in the inner corner. I just would switch the inner corner shade, but I really like this palette a lot. I'm glad I pulled it in for summer. So this will definitely be staying. I'm actually surprised that I think I like this one more than the Flora Story, which was with Makeup Just for Fun. And I like this one more. I contemplated getting this one. I knew I wanted Flora Story and I was back and forth on this one. I'm glad I picked it up. The next one that I have is the ABH Nouveau. Just kind of been thinking about this palette and I wanted to pull it out and just give it some more love because I haven't since they released it. And unfortunately, like, I don't know, I was underwhelmed. My memory thought that I loved this palette more than I did using it again. I don't hate it, but some of these shades were a little bit tough to use. I mostly used, the shimmer I used the most was Wings. You can see that. Peacock I only used once, and I don't think I had used that shade before. It is very pretty, kind of has like this purple shift to it, and you really have to sheer it out. That's how I liked to wear it. Really just sheer it out, and then kind of like this, maybe like also sheared out. These shimmers though, you can even just tell when I swatched it on my finger, they're very thick. And now since trying out more indie brands, ABH just isn't my favorite formula as much anymore. I just find the shimmers a little bit hard to work with because they're just so thick on the lid. It's very weird to explain, but the texture is just, you can feel it. So I wasn't like a fan of that. I do really like this Color Story. I'm not going to declutter it. I like having it. But now that I've tried out and I think that my eyeshadow application's gotten a little bit better, this mainstream brand of Anastasia, I don't know that I'll be necessarily continuing to buy from them unless I really, really love the Color Story. If it's just like a meh, maybe, I don't think I'd pull the trigger on it because I know that the formula just isn't my favorite anymore. You'll have to tell me if you think the same thing. I don't know if mine's just getting older. It's really not that old of a palette. I mean, considering some of the palettes I have in my collection and the age of them, I don't think that it's an old palette, but I don't know. I had more trouble with this palette than I remembered when I first got it. And then the last palette that I pulled was the Pat McGrath Divine Rose 2. I figured it was time to get some use out of some of my motherships because I never really pull them since they're so bulky. I love this palette. I did a ranking of all my Pat McGrath palettes, and I think this one came at least in the top 2. I want to say it came in number 1. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll link the video. But I ranked this pretty high and I still like it, but I don't know if it's my favorite anymore. I think maybe I'll pull another mothership to just get my thoughts on it, but the shimmers just didn't get to me. And I don't know, again, like the ABH, am I just getting used more to indie shadows? I've really been focusing on that this year. That was kind of like my New Year's resolution for makeup, was to dive more into indie brands. So my love for Pat McGrath has kind of just faded. All 4 of these Blitz Astral shades are really pretty. You know, I really like the pink to green duochrome kind of shade, and this one is my favorite shade. It just looks perfect topped on top of anything. I really did that a lot, like kind of just do some mattes with this spotlighted in the middle, or like this one with that kind of topped to just make it extra glittery. This is like the perfect just extra glittery shade. Here's what they look like layered. So they're really pretty shadows. I think with Pat McGrath, like everyone else, with them coming out with just these repetitive palettes over and over, plus the new palette, the Sunset Seduction, I think, the newest one, just being so repetitive, it's really losing my enthusiasm for Pat McGrath. So I'm still happy that I have this. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm not going to declutter it. I just couldn't. But I don't know. It's not one that I just want to reach for as much anymore, which makes me a little bit sad. I think I'm going to pull in another Pat McGrath palette and just see if my feelings are the same across the board. But that brings us to lips, which is the very last category. And I already got rid of one. So I went with Pat McGrath as the theme for lips. And I pulled in an actual lipstick in Madame Grage. I'm going to pop up a swatch photo because I said when I pulled it, like, oh, this is not really my color, but I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. I tried it on once and I was like, there's just no way. It was like the worst lipstick color I've ever experienced on myself. Sometimes I'll keep things to just show you in a video, but I couldn't even keep that to show you. I had to declutter it. I had to give it to someone and just get it out of this room, out of this house. So that is gone. I'll throw up a swatch photo of it. It just was like this very cool lavender taupe shade. I don't know. It was not flattering on me. And then I pulled in 3 lip glosses. So this is what remained. I have the shades, let's see, Wicked Whisper, Divine Rose, and Aphrodisiac. They look pretty much identical. Like, I mean, you can tell some differences, but that's about it. This is Divine Rose, Wicked Whisper, Aphrodisiac. Wicked Whisper was my favorite. That's the one that I'm wearing now. They're okay. They're just a more opaque gloss, and that's not really what I'm feeling right now. I've kind of really been into more of a lighter lip gloss, a lip oil. So these are not bad. I'll continue to use them and I want to pan them. But like, say if my sister came over and she wanted one of these, I'd happily give it to her and I wouldn't even think twice about it. So they're okay. I don't think you need more than one. I'm pretty sure I bought these sometimes, a lot of the times, Pat McGrath does a sale for like $10 lips, and I'm pretty sure that's when I picked these up. So at least I didn't pay full price for them. They're just, I shouldn't have bought 3 is my point. If you have one, you'll be good. I recommend Wicked Whisper. It's just the most kind of brownie nude. Divine Rose is just a little bit too pink. And then Aphrodisiac has like no sparkle. So it's just not really special. A little bit more milky. I'm not going to continue to ramble on about these. They're good. They're not great. That is going to be all the products that I pulled for this month though. So now let me just turn the camera around and we will pull some new products together. Here we are with the first drawer of primer. So I definitely want to stick with the theme of picking out more of like a pore blurring primer, less of a hydrating primer. And I'm just debating if I want to do something bold or like all of these back here are unopened. So I do think I'm going to go with something that's unopened. And I think I'm going to go with this one. This is the Wet n Wild Impossible. And this is supposed to be pore blurring, right? Silicone-free primer that does it all. So I'm going to test this one out, try it. Maybe it's a little bit similar to the Benefit Porefessional. I'm going to see, but I think that this will be the one that I'll test out. Now the concealer drawer, again, unopened, and then I have opened in this little box here. Since I pulled a new primer, I am gonna pull an already opened concealer, and I've been thinking about this one. This is the Dior Backstage. I really want to get the other Dior concealer, but not until I finish this one first. So I think this will be the one concealer that I pull. I still have a bunch of concealers that I'm testing, so this will be a good one to just get some use out of. It does already have some windowing, so fingers crossed I can make some progress with that. Now let's move on to my foundation because I know which one that I want. Like I mentioned for foundation, I know which one I want. I have these other two drawers here filled with foundation, but I'm only gonna pull one this round, and it is going to be the Milani Conceal and Perfect. I have the shade, what do I have? 00 Light Neutral. This is just one of the oldest foundations in my collection, and I mostly just need to see if it's still good. And I did bring out just all of my Maybelline foundations, so you can kind of see it. This is like my box of interim stuff. So all my Maybelline foundations are here that I still need to test out to rank. And I'm just going to add this one so I am not overwhelmed. Try it out, see if it's expired. Again, like there is some windowing in here. I did get some use out of this, but it's been a while since I tried it out. Onto the powder drawer. I just don't know. I'm always struggling. Like I want to make sure that I'm pulling a good amount of open products and also trying out ones that have just been sitting unopened. For powder, you know, I try to make it go with the foundation. So since that is a pretty full coverage foundation, I'm thinking I want a lighter coverage powder, but I don't really know what to pull. Most of these I think are more full coverage, other than maybe this one. This one's unopened. This is supposed to be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. That's tough to say. And I completely finished that up in my project pan. So maybe I'll give this one a shot, see if it is kind of like that powder. I have the shade Light Medium. We'll see how it goes, but this will be the powder. I think it'll work well with all the Maybelline as well as with the Milani. Face palettes, I don't always pull a face palette, but I think I want to just because Hourglass released their holiday collection. I have the ones from last year and I'm a bit disappointed, but also still tempted. So I think maybe I want to just pull one of these and remember like why I just don't reach for them as much and how they're not worth the $90 to pick up. And I kind of want to go with maybe my original one. This is the very, very first one they ever came out with. So it is old. And I think that it's time I get use out of this one. At first I was going to pull out the elephant because this one's my favorite for sure. But I also want to get use out of everything. So I'm going to pull in the very first holiday palette from Hourglass. I used to use these three powders all together, so you can kind of see some dips happening. So let's get some more use out of this. Here is bronzer. Usually pull a cream and a powder. And I think I know which one I want to pull, mostly because they're just irritating me, taking up all this space. So this is the only cream left, I think, that I haven't tried. This is the Marc Jacobs Glow Away Bronzing Stick, something like that. It's humongous. So I'm going to get some use out of it. I mean, you can't even buy this anymore. Marc Jacobs isn't a brand. So I think it's time I finally open that. And then this is the Estee Lauder Bronze Goddess. I have the shade 01 Light. Always wanted one of these and I finally picked it up and I haven't opened it. So I think this is what I'm going to take. And for blush, we'll pick out something that's already been opened. I mentioned my blush drawer was overflowing and I was not joking. I have more, I think, unopened blush than opened. So I did say I was going to pull opened blush though. I've been thinking about these for my cream. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Matte Beauty Blush Wand. I want to pull these out because I tried them out in that video. I used them a few times and then I haven't given them any love, and I actually really do enjoy them. So that'll be the cream. And then for powder blush, let's see, that's a cream. Let's pull this one. This is the MAC blush in Warm Soul. I have some here that I haven't opened yet, the Glow Play, but this one I have tried and I like it a lot. And it's a little bit more of a glowy blush, which will work well with the matte sticks. So that'll be my blush selection. On to highlight. I kind of want to give myself a break from creams. I think because I need a break. So for my powder, I kind of just want something every day. And I'm trying to think of like what I haven't pulled in yet. Cookies, just way too much. I don't want to do these Fenty's. Maybe this Buxom. This is in the shade Wanderlust. I know I pulled this into a Shop My Stash, but I want to say it was one of my very first ones. And it is a really just pretty highlight. It's not too bright. So I think that this will be nice to just get some use out of. I really do like it, and it does get forgotten with some of my more high-end ones. Lips is the next drawer before eyeshadow. Now, I really missed having just like a plain lipstick since I decluttered that one Pat McGrath and then only had the glosses. I think I'm gonna pull like more of a lipstick or a matte, and then I can always use like my Project Pan lipstick because it's a little bit more glossy if I want something with more shine. I did slightly reorganize this because I think I mentioned in like 2 declutters, it was driving me absolutely crazy. So I usually pull 4. And I want to pull this Givenchy one. This one has like that really cool, well it did. It has like this marbling effect. It's like a really nice berry. I think it'll be good for fall time. And it's a little bit more glossy. I guess I'm already contradicting myself. I don't have too many that are just like a matte. I said I was gonna pull more matte things. So I think I'll pull this one. This is the Romand Blur Fudge Tint. I think it's in the shade Mauve or something like that, mauve-ish. This will be a nice color for fall as well. I'm kind of close to the camera, I'm sorry. And it definitely has like more of a matte finish. So that'll be nice. That's 2. I need 2 more. I know it's kind of hard to see this drawer. Maybe I'll do 2 opened and 2 unopened. I don't have too many unopened anymore. Kind of getting through it, which is really nice. I'll just pull 2 at random. I think this was like a, Too Faced collab where they gave back to some kind of animal rescue. So I think this is like just a nude shade, if I remember correctly, and the component is so cute. I don't really buy from Too Faced anymore, but that's freaking adorable. Okay, let's pull that one in, and then I'm also gonna pull in, what is this? This is more of a lip balm, so I don't want that. I know this one is more matte. This is a MAC lipstick from their Electric Wonder collection. I really love the packaging, and the shade is the Naturalist, which should also probably be like a nude shade. Yeah. So that'll be really good, I think, because I'll have kind of like 2 nudes, and then I have like 2 berry tones and 1 kind of gloss sticks. I'm actually really happy with the choices here. Hopefully I don't end up decluttering them. So this will be good. Okay, for eyeshadow palettes, I know I said I was gonna pull in another Mothership, but I have just been thinking about this palette, these 2 palettes actually. I think they're gonna be so good for fall. The first one is the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. I mean, this is fall in a palette. I don't have too much use out of it, so I really want to test that one out or just use it more. And then the other one is the gold, which is definitely much more my speed. So I'll have something kind of just basic every day for me. And then I'll have this one to really push myself out of my comfort zone because I'm not necessarily too much into warm tones. I got this one because everyone said it was really great, and also I think it was limited edition. You can't get it anymore, so I'm glad I have it. And then I am gonna pick just one or two more like very small quints or something like that in my just higher drawer. This is the drawer that houses kind of just my smaller palettes. Like I have my Lisa Eldridge, Chanel, Dior, Charlotte Tilbury, and I was thinking I wanted to pull out my Dior ones because I have 3 and one's not open. Or like I have 3 Rowan quads that I haven't opened. 4 Kaja, but I don't want that many. Like I feel like one Shop My Stash, I just need to pull all these Kajas in. So let's stick with like the luxury theme and go with this Chantecaille. I think this is a quad. Let's open it up and see, because then I'll have 3 palettes and I feel like that's pretty manageable. The packaging is stunning. I love butterflies. That's part of my purchase to this. Okay, yeah, it is a quad and it's not too crazy. Like kind of has like this peachy warm shade, but it's something I can just try out, finally get some use out of, and not have it be in its box anymore. So that'll be the 3 palettes. I think that that's everything. So let me now just give you a quick overview of everything that I pulled for the next month. Here's everything that I pulled. This is just, like I said, all the Maybelline foundations, so you can see what I'm really working with. And I like to try every foundation at least 3 times again before I rank it, even if I already know the formula. Like I've already gone through an entire bottle of the matte and poreless, but in my notes, I like to at least get 3 days. You can see just the struggle I'm working with. And then these are all the products that I'll be trying for the next month. Some of them are new, some of them are just older in my collection, but I think we have a good mix of everything. This foundation here and the concealer. So I'm excited, maybe try some fall looks here, and that's gonna be everything for today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, but that's where I'm gonna leave you all. Hope you're having a good one, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye everyone.